Granny Pig and Grandpa Pig do not live far away. They never did. The show has been lying to you about this for over 20 years, and the evidence has been sitting in plain sight this entire time. But that is only the first problem, because once you start pulling on the geography of where the grandparents actually live, the whole map of Peppa Town starts coming apart, and what you find underneath it is stranger than the lie they were using to cover it up. Let us start with what the show wants you to believe, the official story. Every episode that involves visiting the grandparents treats it as a proper trip, a journey, an event requiring preparation. The family gets in the car, Mummy Pig drives, there are hills involved, there is a sense of distance traveled. In the Christmas episodes, the family stays overnight, packed bags, sleeping arrangements, the whole production. The show has spent hundreds of episodes communicating one consistent message. Granny Pig and Grandpa Pig live far enough away that going to see them is a meaningful undertaking. Now watch the episode Granny Pig's Garden. Peppa and George are at home. Something is needed from the grandparents. And Mummy Pig pops over and comes back almost immediately. Not drives over, not makes a trip of it. Pops over. The time that passes on screen between her leaving and returning with the item is not long enough for a car journey. It is barely long enough for someone to walk to the end of a driveway. So which is it? Is the grandparents' house a destination requiring planning, packing, and a car ride up a hill? Or is it close enough that Mummy Pig can be back in under a minute? The show cannot have both, and yet it has been running both versions simultaneously for decades. The answer is that the grandparents live extremely close, right next door in the most meaningful sense, on the adjacent hill, visible from Peppa's house, reachable on foot in minutes. Every episode that frames the visit as a journey is applying a narrative convention, the feeling of going somewhere special, to a geographical reality that is significantly less special. They are basically neighbors. They have always been basically neighbors. The show just never wanted you to think about it. Why it matters. The herd theory. Here is where the geography lie becomes something bigger. Pigs in the real world do not live in isolated nuclear families. They live in groups called sounders. A sounder is an extended family unit, a mother pig, her young related females, occasionally an adult male, and the network of family connections that provides protection, resource sharing, and social structure. Wild pigs maintain these structures actively. They are not solitary. They are not spread across separate territories pretending to be independent households. They stay close. They always stay close. If you apply this to Peppa Town, the picture that emerges is not a town at all. It is a single extended family herd living on adjacent hills, maintaining the social structure that pigs have always maintained, while the show presents it as a community of separate, independent households. Granny Pig and Grandpa Pig are not on the other side of town. They are the next hill over. Uncle Pig and Auntie Pig, Peppa's uncle who appears in various episodes with Chloe and baby Alexander. Where are they? The show is vague about this, which is suspicious in exactly the way the grandparents' geography was suspicious before we started checking episode timestamps. Think about the sounder logic. If Granny and Grandpa Pig are on the adjacent hill and Uncle Pig is a related male in the same family group, his household should be within the same cluster. A third hill, 3 households, all within walking distance of each other, all presented by the show as separate destinations requiring car journeys, when the actual arrangement is a classic extended pig family living in the way pig families have always lived. Peppa Town might not be a town, it might be a herd, and the maps might be deliberately broken to make sure you never notice. The map problem. Daddy Pig cannot read maps. This is presented as a comedic character flaw, a recurring joke across dozens of episodes where his map reading sends the family in wrong directions and leads to unnecessary frustration. It is funny. It has always been funny. The audience accepts it as personality. But Daddy Pig is an engineer. He has an engineering diploma displayed in his study. He designs structures and reads technical blueprints for a living. Blueprints are spatial documents. They represent 3-dimensional physical reality in 2-dimensional notation and require the reader to correctly interpret distances, directions, and relationships between elements. That is exactly what a map requires. An engineer who can read blueprints cannot read a map. This makes no sense unless the maps themselves are wrong. What if the maps in Peppa Town are deliberately inaccurate? What if the geography depicted on them does not correspond to the actual layout of the hills and houses? What if they show distances as longer than they are, and positions as more spread out than they are, specifically to maintain the impression that the herd is dispersed when it is actually clustered? Daddy Pig does not get lost because he is bad at maps. He gets lost because the maps are lies. And the maps have to be lies because if they were accurate, anyone looking at them would immediately see that every house in Peppa's extended family is within a 5-minute walk of every other house. The whole town is one hill cluster. The maps are the cover story. Daddy Pig just cannot read the cover story correctly, which accidentally exposes the cover story in a different way entirely. The grandparents we never see. There is a second problem in the grandparent geography. It runs in the opposite direction from Granny Pig and Grandpa Pig's suspiciously short commute. Daddy Pig's parents have never appeared on screen. Not once. Not in passing. Not referenced by name or shown in a photograph on any wall in any episode across a production run of over 400 episodes. Granny Pig and Grandpa Pig, Mummy Pig's parents, are constants. They bake, they garden, they sail boats. They appear regularly and warmly and with the specific comfortable presence of people who are very close to the family they visit. Daddy Pig's parents are a complete void. This would be less suspicious if the show were merely inconsistent, but the show is not inconsistent about it. It is specifically, consistently silent. Every birthday party, every Christmas episode, every family gathering that includes extended family manages to include Mummy Pig's parents and exclude any reference to the existence of Daddy Pig's parents. If the herd theory is correct, if the extended pig family lives in an adjacent cluster of hills, then Daddy Pig's parents should be on the third hill. They should be as visible and present as Granny Pig and Grandpa Pig. Their absence from the show, while the herd logic requires their presence in the geography, creates a specific kind of hole in the theory. Where are they? The most straightforward explanation in terms of the herd model is that they are there, on their hill, part of the cluster. But the show, for reasons never explained, has decided not to depict them. The gap in the family tree on Daddy Pig's side is the gap where a whole hill's worth of characters should be, and simply is not. Not because they do not exist in the logic of the show, because something about them is not being shown. What the visits actually mean. Step back and look at the full picture. The visits to Granny and Grandpa Pig that feel like journeys are not journeys. They are social occasions. The family gets in the car and drives around the corner because that is what families do when visiting grandparents. They mark the occasion. They signal that this is a special trip. They pack bags not because they need to, but because it creates the feeling of going somewhere. The car ride is ceremonial. The distance is minimal. The ceremony makes it feel significant regardless. This reframes every grandparent episode in the show's entire run. The Christmas stayovers, the overnight visits, the packed bags, none of it is evidence of distance. All of it is evidence of ritual. The family is maintaining the specific social structures that characterize the sounder. Regular visits, shared occasions, the performance of togetherness in a group that is already geographically together. They are not going far to visit family. They are maintaining herd rituals with the herd that lives next door. What the show has been hiding. Granny Pig and Grandpa Pig live on the adjacent hill. Mummy Pig can be there and back in under 2 minutes on foot. Uncle Pig and the cousins almost certainly live on another nearby hill. Daddy Pig's parents exist somewhere in the cluster, but have been systematically excluded from the frame. The maps are wrong by design. Daddy Pig's inability to read them is a feature, not a flaw. The whole geography of Peppa Town is a fiction maintained to prevent you from seeing that Peppa's family is living in the same pattern that pigs have always lived in, close, connected, in a herd, on their hills. The town is not a town. It is a family. The hills are not separate locations. They are one neighborhood. And the grandparents who seem far away have been right there the entire time, on the next hill over, waiting for Mummy Pig to pop round and borrow something. The show built a whole visual language of journeys and arrivals and packed overnight bags to hide something that makes complete biological sense and would have been obvious from the start if anyone had looked at the maps, which nobody could do properly, because the maps were wrong. There is more where this came from. Check out our other Peppa Pig theory videos and drop in the comments which missing grandparent you think the show is hiding the most. We have our theories. We want to hear yours.